Hello, I'm Mike McPhaden, President of the American Geophysical Union. I joined AGU in 1979 as a graduate student, because I'd heard about this great meeting in San Francisco. And I wanted to present my work on a grand stage, and I also wanted to meet colleagues who I only knew through the printed page. And I saw the fall AGU meeting as a great opportunity for networking. I spent 2 years as President-elect of Ocean Sciences and 2 years as President of Ocean Sciences. And then I was no longer part of the AGU leadership team. A few years later, I got another phone call. And I was asked if I would run for President of AGU. And I was aghast, because that's such an important position. And I wondered whether I could really do this. And so what I told the former president, who was the chair of the nominations committee, here are some really good qualified people that you want to run. I'm not sure I'm the right person. And there was a pause on the other end of the line, and he said, no, we want you to run. As president-elect of AGU, it was my responsibility to develop a new strategic plan. And that plan has 4 major themes: organizational excellence, scientific leadership and collaboration, science and society, and developing the next generation talent pool. These are all very important themes, and they're all ones that we need to devote a lot of time and effort to. The theme I thought was the most ripe for making significant progress was science and society. There was a pent-up demand in AGU for being a more proactive organization in engaging with policymakers and the public on these big questions that affect society, big questions that have Earth and space science at their heart. And so this was the agenda I set out for myself, to make progress on this particular issue. I took office as president-elect at a time when the organization was on the brink of significant change. We had a new strategic plan to develop. We had the idea of a new governance structure that would help us organize our science better and promote our science better. And we also hired a new executive director. These were 3 major changes in a very short period of time. The challenge for me, as I saw it, was to deliver on the promise to our membership that these changes would really make a difference in member satisfaction with the services and the products that we deliver. So how well have we done? Well, we've made some big decisions. One of which was to partner with Wiley-Blackwell for publications. This will provide financial stability to the union. It will also allow for a much greater user satisfaction with a publications process, both editors, authors, and reviewers. We've also initiated a science policy conference in Washington, D.C. that allows us to be more proactive in engaging with policymakers and the public on problems that face society which have their roots in Earth and space science. And we've also established a Climate Communications Prize to raise the visibility of climate change as an urgent problem facing society. If I were to pick 3 things that I'm particularly proud of during my presidency, I would say partnering with Wiley-Blackwell for publications is one of those. It's not only about the partnership, but it's the process by which we arrived at the decision, which was inclusive of all stakeholders, the board obviously, but the council, the general membership, editors, and others who had a stake in AGU publications. The second thing that I'm particularly proud of is the progress we've made in the Science and Society Strategic Plan theme. There are a number of different things that we've done to advance this. Our policy conference in Washington, D.C., we inaugurated this year. The new Climate Communications Prize. And we're taking a much more proactive role in letters to editors, press releases, and other communications to the general public and policymakers about some of the urgent problems we face as a society and how Earth and space science can help us address those. And a third thing that I'm particularly proud of is the establishment of our ethics task force, whose work is almost completed. They were charged with updating our code of conduct for members, which was originally established in the 1990s, quite a long time ago, and the world has changed quite a bit. Our ability to achieve our goals as scientists requires that we act with the highest of ethical standards, because what we do and our ability to make our science meaningful to broader public depends on having the trust of the public. And for that, we have to understand what it is that we have to do as scientists to maintain that trust. And that's where ethics comes into play. And that's where our new ethics task force is going to produce this document about a code of conduct that can be used by all of our members to make them aware of their responsibilities to themselves and their science. It is our goal in AGU to make our organization the authoritative voice for Earth and space science. In 10 years' time, I could envision that AGU will become a household name, like the American Cancer Society or the American Medical Association. Everybody knows these organizations. I'd like to see in 10 years' time, when you hear the words AGU, you know that this is the authoritative voice for Earth and space science. AGU is a great organization because of its members. In fact, AGU is its members. These are passionate scientists. We have 61,000 of them. They represent 148 countries. They are all motivated to make a difference in the world. And it's this energy that drives our organization. As volunteer leaders and as staff, we try to harness that and channel it for the most productive uses. But what makes AGU great is its members.
Hi, I'm Carol Finn, President of the American Geophysical Union. I think I must have been interested in science for some reason that I don't know early on. I remember when I was about 6, I wanted to be either an astronaut, I wanted to be the first woman astronaut, or the first woman president, or a mad scientist. The last I'm still working on. I joined AGU almost 30 years ago when I was just a graduate student, and I was interested in geophysics, and it was the place to go. It's a no-brainer. Everybody who's a geophysicist is a member of the American Geophysical Union, and it's a place where the best science is done in my field, both in journals and at the meeting. And the fall meeting is an amazing place to go. Still is for me, but it certainly was as a student. I got to meet the luminaries in my field. I got to learn about not only my field, but a broad spectrum of science, and it was a lot of fun. I got involved in AGU leadership because I was asked, really, to serve on the Budget and Finance Committee right out of graduate school. I was honored to be asked because AGU is an important organization to me from a career perspective, and I was going to have a chance to participate in other aspects of it. So I knew I would learn a lot because knowing nothing about budget and finance, and I did, so much so that I was asked to run for General Secretary, and I served as General Secretary for 2 years. It's a huge honor to be asked, and it was a great experience for me to learn even more about this organization and try to improve it and make it run better and make it more accessible to members. And when I was asked to run for president, that's even a bigger honor. I was really flattered, but I also, as General Secretary, had understood quite a bit about the organization. We were trying to change AGU and make it a more accessible organization for the members and make it more effective. And so I really wanted to serve AGU in that way. AGU's given me a lot for my career in terms of being able to do my science, as well as being able to serve in these leadership positions. I've been in the leadership position for several years, so I have a lot of organizational goals. But I think the one that is most important to me is to try to connect the members with each other, with the organization, with society at large. We have 61,000 stars in the organization. How do we make them shine? How do we make them promote our science and promote the science not just for the excitement and discovery that we all feel for it, but for the benefit of humanity? Well, one of the things that we've been working on for the last few years is making the connections within the governance structure of AGU, connecting the council, making it a clear organization, a group of scientists who are working on the same goals, which are the strategic plan, connecting them to the board in a variety of ways through the processes that we've established and decision-making processes. Council will have input, board might have a final decision, or vice versa, the council has the final decision, but really integrating that, making those connections tighter with committees, and then finally taking those connections and the processes that we learned about making those connections within the organizations to the broader membership. And we hope that by doing that, the broader membership can then go into the larger community outside of the organization. The biggest challenge is going to be how do we mobilize the 61,000 members? I mean, it's a huge undertaking, and I think we're going to try a lot of different ways of communicating, offer a lot of opportunities for people to engage in AGU activities. Historically, we've had standing committees, people are on them for 2 years at least. Have task forces that might have subjects that will excite a member, and they can come in, do a specific job, and have a job done in a few months, for example. So that's one way, is to try to engage members more into the organization and continue to increase our training for members to be able to talk to people outside the scientific world, to Congress people, to the public at large. And those are just a couple of examples, but it's all about trying to make the connections. And of course, technology is going to play a big role. AGU's members are a very diverse group. We have space sciences, we have geodesy, we have people who study volcanoes, we have people who study climate, the oceans, little microbes, people who study microbes to the deep earth to the distant planets, and they all work in different areas. It's an international membership from 125 countries at least, and they're different ages. They have very different perspectives, and it's a diverse group, but everyone is dedicated to scientific excellence, and that's the thing that brings them together, the common language of science. AGU is a great organization because it fosters excellent science. I mean, for us as scientists, it doesn't really get any better than that. It's great to publish at AGU. We've got great editors, we have good reviewers. It makes your science better. Going to the fall meeting, you have exposure to the luminaries in your field, the new students coming up, and a broad array of subjects, and it makes you think, and it makes your science better. There's really nothing better than that. At the end of my presidency, I envision AGU will be way more cohesive internally. We'll have the whole connections between the council and the board and the committees will be a smoothly running organization. I also think that we're going to have a more cohesive, similarly diverse and community, and I hope that a lot of the diverse elements of AGU are going to be recognized more you'll see it in the Honors and Recognition Program, in various leadership positions in the organization. I think you'll see people who have a clear view of what AGU is trying to do and the importance and how we can use AGU to advance our science. If I could speak to all 61,000 members of AGU, I would tell them, participate, engage not only with your scientists, but the AGU community at large, and the community outside of AGU, to promote science, to show your enthusiasm and passion for your science, and engage people and educate people about how science benefits society, do science that benefits society.